Welcome to Faith in Five with Cecil and Cecil. Thank you so much for joining us. I hope you enjoyed today's episode, and we're so glad that you're here to fellowship with us. Hello, everyone. Back again at Faith in Five with Cecil and Cecil. And today we're going to be doing episode 9, I think it is. But is the one where we go back and look at last week and how we answered the question that was written to my grandfather, C3's dad. This is Cecil Jr.'s book. We asked ourselves a question from the book. We answered it in our own ways, and this week is when we actually look back and see what he answered and maybe look at some of those differences. So, again, this is Bible questions and answers. Cecil Jr. Had this put together, which is a collection of questions he received, and he answered these in a publication called the Magnolia Messenger. But we'll be taking a look at this again. So the question was, Please explain Matthew 7:12, which is the golden rule of treat others like you want to be treated. And does it include everything or exclude anything? So if you want to go back and hear our answers and hear that podcast, we can do that. But we're gonna kind of read from the book here that's written in my grandfather's answers. And so the way these books are kind of laid out, just so you see, is he's got kind of his answer as these first 3 paragraphs. It's kind of the scripture, and then a 2-paragraph answer, at least for this question. It goes on and has some more kind of just text about his thoughts on the golden rule and the application of that. But we're going to focus on just these first couple paragraphs. So I'll just read the first paragraph, which is a rereading of the scripture, and then I'll go into the answer. So the passage referred to what we called the golden rule. In the ESV translation, it reads, "So whatever you wish that others would do to you, do also to them. For this is the law and the prophets." In conversation, we usually paraphrase it and say, "Do to others as you would have them do to you." In principle, it is the same as the second greatest commandment, "You shall love your neighbor as yourself," which is in Matthew 22:39. So Cecil Jr. starts to answer this by saying, all general principles, such as this requirement, the use of common sense, and ethics and application. One should assume, for example, that the standard, "as you would have them do to you," is from the standpoint of one who is godly and desirous of doing what is right. One might be greedy and unethical and say, "I would like for someone to pay me a bribe," or "I want someone to sell me some stolen goods at a greatly reduced price." One cannot, however, rightly conclude, "Therefore, I should do those things to others." So that's how he starts out his answer.
And when I hear that answer, I think, well, that's what I said last week. Now, we were giving our own answer, but wondering what Dad would have said. I wish that I had thought last week to use the phrase common sense, which he does early here. So I didn't say the words common sense, but I did note that there are some boundaries. We're not to give what's holy to the dogs, cast our pearls before swine. So we recognize those situations where people are abusing the golden rule. But what he said, what I said last week, is said better in what he wrote in that paragraph. So let me read his next paragraph.
All right.
One must also consider that likes and dislikes differ. When my wife is sick, she likes to be provided the absolute necessities and otherwise left as completely alone as possible until she gets well. I, on the other hand, like to be petted, rubbed on, cooed over. I want constant attention and tender loving care. If I do to her as I want her to do to me, it aggravates her. If she does to me as she wants me to do to her, it leaves me feeling neglected and unloved. We have to do to each other as we would want the other to do for us if we had their likes and dislikes rather than our own.
And that's what I said last week.
That's exactly what you said last
So
week.
yeah, I use the example of if somebody has something in their teeth in public, how would you tell them, and how would you like to be told, versus that person might want to be told a different way. But obviously, he gives a great answer here with personal experience and his personal likes, and he says it really well. I think I had a much longer winded or maybe not as clear way of saying his last sentence there, which is we have to do to others as we would want them, as we would want the other to do to us if we had their likes and dislikes rather than our own, which is the cat, which is what I was really trying to get at last week. So obviously he outdid us and covered both both scenarios, but
You did.
he did have some time to write versus just on the spot too. So
Right. That is true.
that's good. All right. Well, that's it for this podcast. I think covered. I feel good actually that we didn't miss something larger there. I think
Yeah.
it's a good answer. I think maybe it still doesn't. It still leaves me wondering what the questioner intent really was, which is something you and I talked about offline.
Mhm.
And I thought we had some pretty funny comments about that. But anyway, we'll let other people think about that and wonder what that person had as asking that question. But thanks for joining us for this podcast. It's I don't know if others will enjoy this particular series of podcasts that we're doing where we look at this book, but I know you and I particularly enjoy it. It kind of brings Cecil Jr. back to life in a way, and it's just special for us to get to kind of include him with his passing last year. So I'm going to really enjoy continuing doing this.
Yep. And it's great fun for me. And I'm glad that but the two of us together then came really close to his answer.
Yeah. Yep. All right. Thanks, everybody.